Hello guys, it's Friday the 26th of January and here we go with the news. So here goes. Paul Young's wife Stacey dead, aged 52 after a 2-year battle with brain cancer. Brought to you by the Mirror Online. Paul Young's wife Stacey has died after a 2-year battle with brain cancer, his family has confirmed. Stacey, a former model, was 52 when she died. In the presence of her pop star husband and her 4 children. A statement explained the singer Paul Young has today announced that his wife Stacey Young sadly passed away after a 2-year fight with brain cancer. Stacey died peacefully at home, surrounded by family, friends and her 4 children, Levi, Layla, Grady and Jude. The family respectfully asked for the privacy at this time. Young met Stacey on the video shoot for his second single Come Back and Stay in 1983. And married 4 years later after a brief fling with motorbike stuntman Eddie Kidd. Together they had 3 older children, daughters Levi, Layla and Grady, and son Grady. Paul and Stacey's marriage went on to have a 3-year blip. Starting in 2006 when she separated and Paul moved out of their shared home. During this time Stacey had a 4th child, son Jude, with Israeli businessman Ilan Slazenger, who moved into the house she'd previously shared with Paul. She then reconciled with Paul in 2009, and the pop star became Jude's stepfather. Paul had hits with Love Will Tear Us Apart, What Becomes of a Broken Heart and Wherever I Leave My Hat. Once revealed how their split had made it more obvious to both of them that they were meant to stay together. You have to work at marriage, but it helps that I know where we were meant to be together, he said. I have known that since I met her. She is funny, she has a good sense of humour, she's a little bit wild, a little mad, but I love that about her. And our children's friends love coming round to our house because we are not a conventional family. He added, it was also important that things were friendly as possible for the sake of the children. I don't think they got too upset by it all. It's been fine. None of them have had to go to therapy. In 2016 he was a loose woman to set the record straight about Stacey's affair, insisting it was a mutual decision to take time apart. When she said she wasn't happy, she said she wasn't happy. So we knew, and we discussed it and things went on from there, he said, told the panel. But then constantly see it as it was an affair. It wasn't an affair. He and Jude's biological Ilan remain on good terms after Stacey's return to the family home, adding his dad is 50% in. It's just like any other normal family. We've just blended together. The hitmaker even helped Stacey and Ilan run a restaurant while they were together. He said in a previous interview with the Daily Mail, she was my mate when we got married, so why shouldn't she be my mate now? He emphasised that Jude's parentage was not a big thing. He said, "You have to have a certain amount of acceptance of things, otherwise you can never move on. One of my better qualities is that I accept what is in front of me, and deal with it." End of article. Gets political with Philip Hammond, who is currently the Chancellor. Hammond calls for a very modest divorce from EU, from the Reuters UK. Britain's Finance Minister called for a modest Brexit on Thursday that would keep the world's sixth largest economy as closely aligned as possible with the European Union after its 2019 exit. Not even happened yet. Britain is due to exit on the EU on March 29, 2019, but there are deep divisions. Inside Prime Minister Theresa May's government and party about what sort of relationship should replace 46 years of membership. Philip Hammond, who in the 2016 referendum voted to stay in the EU, sought to allay investors' concerns over Brexit turmoil by calling for arrangements that would ensure free and smooth trade and for the closest possible future relationship. We are taking two completely interconnected and aligned economies with high levels of trade between them, and selectively moving them, hopefully very modestly apart, Hammond said at the World Economic Forum in Davos. The EU and Britain agreed last month to move Brexit talks onto trade and a transition pacts, but some of the EU's most powerful leaders have cautioned that the final year of divorce negotiations before Britain's exit could be fraught with peril. The outcome of the negotiations will shape the future of Britain's $2.7 trillion economy and determine whether London can keep its place as the only global financial centre to rival New York. May's finance chief says that hurting London's financial centre would push business to New York and Singapore to the detriment of Europe as a whole, and he called for a bespoke trading deal with the EU. Brexit is cast by supporters and opponents alike as the most significant shift in British policy since World War II. Hammond later attempted to clarify his remarks, saying he was clear Britain would be leaving the EU's custom union and single market next year. In fact, our economies are integrated, that the baseline from which we leave the single market and customs union, which clearly represents change, he said on Twitter. Supporters of Brexit say that warnings that economic chaos are overblown and that Britain will eventually prosper once it leaves, when they portray as a decaying German-dominated experiment in European integration. Some of May's Brexit-supporting lawmakers, such as Jacob Rees-Mogg, said Britain's government must start programming the opportunities from leaving the European Union, and its negotiators should stop being cowed by the EU. In an effort to avoid Brexit shock that could sow chaos through financial markets, halt trade and disrupt supply chains across Europe, Britain wants to transform deal agreed. By the end of March, that would roll for about 2 years after exit. Under current plans, Britain will remain a EU member in everything but name, but will have no representation in EU decision-making bodies. Britain would remain part of the EU customs union and internal market and be bound by EU laws. Having said a transition period which allowed us to continue under present rules which everybody understands those rules, gives us time to do this in an orderly fashion and gives us time to address some of the financial stability challenges. But opponents of Brexit say there is little clarity on where Britain is transitioning to and hope to force a halt to divorce prospect Hammond dismissed. This decision is not going to be reversed. That is a matter of political reality, he said. In Brussels, EU diplomats said the bloc is willing to be flexible on the duration and other terms of the Brexit transition period, as Britain prepares to deal its hopes for what happens after it leaves the bloc. Some businesses and many international banks in London are concerned that either the detail of any transition deal could be lacking or that any deal could collapse due to domestic political upheaval in the months before Britain exits. It is all or nothing, said a senior executive at one of the largest banks in London. They can't even give us political certainty, let alone legal certainty, until much, much later in the process. End of article. Nope. End of part 1. Part 2, and here we go. BBC pay. John Humphreys says he will earn hugely less. And my phone is having a spazzy moment. John Marlborough's release held over victim's legal challenge. Russell Hume meets recall based on use by date processes. Bombadil win trade dispute in US, which they have won, overturning a decision to impose demanding tariffs on imports of its C-series aircraft. Alexis Sanchez makes his Manchester United debut. Judge calls Crown Prosecution Services to court over case collapse. Russia mocks Gavin Williamson's attack with warning. NHS Winter Pressure Panel says instructions to hospital to postpone all non-urgent surgeries and outpatient appointments won't be extended beyond January. Flu position stabilising the week and recognises that nationality pressures of the NHS have eased in January compared to December. Farooq's 17 UKIP councillors all resigned from party. Arsene Wenger says Arsenal have nothing to hide after Alexis Sanchez reportedly missed a drugs test on the same day of his transfer to Man United. Matthew Buckworth jailed over Sonny Stephenson's spade death. Nearly 40 years on, both sides of the Iran protests are asking, What did the revolution change? Constipation deaf patient could have been saved. Murder probe linked to Leicester jewellery shop break-in. 6 of BBC's leading male presenters agree to take pay cuts after revelations over equal salaries. Charleston car park stabbing, Molly McLaren stabbed 75 times. UK will be able to negotiate and sign a new trade deals as soon as it leaves the EU, David Davis says. Sandeep Samra, 18, jailed in for Syria terrorist acts bid. UK needs an implementation period after Brexit so that businesses won't have to delay decisions or rush through contingency plans, David Davis says. Amazon removes magnetic putty from website over arsenic fears. A museum has offered Donald Trump a golden toilet after he reportedly requested a Van Gogh artwork for the White House. President Trump launches first attack on privacy trade practices, but he says America first is not America alone. Olivia Edoasim died for daughter's crash death. Birmingham pub bombings court overturns coroner's ruling. Grenfell Tower, what has happened to the donations? Leeds crash, boy 15 detained for causing deaths. Of 5 people who, when the stolen car he was driving crashed into a tree, has been detained for more than 4 years. Julian Assange asks UK court to drop his arrest warrant. James Chilvers' death, woman charged with murder. Axe-wielding Bolton vigilante video is fake news, says police. Double figure temps for most of us over the weekend, but there will be clouds, some rain and strong winds. Australia wins by 3 wickets. UK economic growth is better than unexpected, 0.5% for the last 3 months of 2017, official figures say. President Trump dismisses as fake news reports he tried to fire Robert Mueller from Russia's meddling probe. Bottles are causing an increased number of breakdowns, that says the RAC. Bad weather and lack of investment is to blame. Russia could cause thousands and thousands of deaths by crippling UK infrastructure, Defence Secretary warns. Newspaper apologises to Nicola Sturgeon over flag story. The police investigation into missing RAF and Corey McKeever has cost £2.1 million to date, according to figures obtained by the BBC. Donald Trump is apparently would be apologising for his Britain First retweet. No one retreats from Britain first. Kilroot Power Station faces shutdown with loss of 240 jobs. David Davis to give trade deals pledge amid Brexit row. Calls for mandatory health information on alcohol labels. Stop prescribing precious antibiotics for sore throats, GPs told. Man charged with 2007 double murder in Clapham. Moving on to BBC World News on Twitter. USA Gymnastics Board ordered to quit over Larry Nassar abuse. Trump's immigration plan unites left and right in fury. Canadian billionaire couple murdered. Nutella riots spread across French supermarkets. It's apparently discontinued in France. Democrat Joe Kennedy to respond to Trump's union speech. Supreme Court holds the execution of inmates with dementia. Cape Town water crisis, residents urged to switch off toilets. Death of Stalin, Russian police visit cinema defying film ban. When bears left with severe burns their paws after the recent California wildfires, experts came up with a unique bandage to help the healing process. Afrin Kurds will never abandon our homes. Czech selection tight runoff between Zeman and Drahos. France mourns star chef Paul Bocuse. China to develop Arctic shipping routes opened by global warming. Tourist sexually assaulted in Senegal, Casamance region. Kind of like along the south border. Elizabeth Harley, chronicler of the Himalayas, died aged 94. The Moscow headquarters of Russia's opposition leader Alexei Navalny has been raided ahead of a major rally planned for Sunday, according to a tweet posted on his account. Donald Trump meets Rwanda's Kagame at the World Economic Forum. The people who are most optimistic about their future in the US are the most disadvantaged poor black Americans. Turkey's Erdogan vows to fight Kurdish forces as far as Iraq. China's decade-long smartphone growth comes to an end. Giulio Regeni murdered in Egypt over research, says Italian prosecutor. Could broadcasting school lessons solve Africa's education crisis? Padmavat, Indian audiences puzzled over controversy. South Koreans conquer fear of dying alone. Trump tried to fire Russia inquiry chief last June and only backing down when his White House lawyer threatened to quit, used media claims. Sitting on a rubble in eastern Mosul with violinist Amin Mokdad. He wants to rebuild the city with an army of musicians. Snowman level Japan. Now the picture does look pretty good if you can kind of see it. It's a pretty awesome snowman. Body shaming ad in Sri Lanka. Brazilian judge seizes ex-president Lula's passport. Jung Hae-on, the Korean tennis star making history. Victims came both from the hospital and a nursing home. Some died on the way to another hospital. As South Korean hospital is on fire, which has killed at least 31 people so far. And San Suu Kyi lacks moral leadership. Veteran US diplomat Bill Richardson. Man hit by train in India, quest for perfect selfie. A third of a coral reef entangled with plastic. South Asians in the US are the dreamers facing uncertain future. The South Korean pictures from the scene in South Korea as firefighters race to extinguish a deadly fire in Sejong Hospital, Myeong. No spots were started in an emergency room, which cares mostly for elderly people. Venezuela expels Spanish ambassador after EU sanctions. Edible bandages for bear's burnt paws. Iran rocket suffers rare failure. How Aung San Suu Kyi sees the Rohingya crisis. Trump plans to offer citizenship to 1.8 million undocumented immigrants. Alcatraz escape. Fugitive John Anglin's name on letter to police. Facebook and Google criticised by George Soros. Affleck pulls out of presenting Oscar. And that is all for today. End of part 2, end of video.